Welcome to the Second Round podcast, where I get together with some of the best people I know, professionally and otherwise, to commiserate about our experiences in the workforce and say all the things HR would probably be on our asses for. Except today, it's just me. And that's for two reasons. One, scheduling people on a weekly basis is hard and mostly unsustainable. I'm going to be extremely upfront about that. As much as I'd love to talk with guests every week, it simply just doesn't happen. So the bigger point, number two, is a listener shared with me that she almost never finishes an episode in one shot because she typically listens during a short drive. And after taking a look at some of the episode analytics, a lot of people drop off around the 45-minute mark. And that's fair because these are long interview style episodes. They're an hour plus, and I'm actually really proud that a lot of you stick around for more than 30 minutes in today's society with an attention span of a pea. So that makes me really happy, but that's why this week I'm instituting my solo series that combats both issues. This eliminates the dependency on guests, and I can record on my own time, and ultimately I am responsible for myself. And additionally, these are short, shareable episodes that contain actionable tips that you can listen to on your way to the grocery store. I'm talking fast, but still valuable. So without further ado, let's jump in. If you don't already know, I published a book late last year, and in short, it's a guide on how to land your next position, hopefully a dream job, through effective interviewing, networking, and resume building. It's an easy read with over 100 quick tips on how to make you look and be the most attractive to employers. But at the heart of it, it's more about building confidence in the skills you already have and learning how to communicate your value to employers, which is ultimately the most important thing. And while I encourage you to read it, some people learn better in an auditory format, and that's what I'm here for. So we'll start by setting an intention for your job search. And you cannot set an intention without first knowing where you stand. So you've got to take stock of your knowledge, skills, and abilities. And what does this mean? And we can start to do that by asking questions like, what do I do now? What is it that I want to do? And these are important questions that are going to help you create a map of where you want to go. And answers to the following questions are going to guide your journey to find that next role. So what skills do you have? What skills are you lacking? What is the difference between what you're doing now versus what you want to do? And what are the tools and resources that are going to get you there? Is this a YouTube class? Is this a certification on Coursera? Is this creating a personal project? That's what you have to figure out. So the last thing is going to be like, what soft skills can you capitalize on, and what hard skills or technical abilities do you have? And I want to be clear that soft skills are just as important as technical skills. These are qualities such as presentation skills, public speaking, and collaboration. And I don't really care what anybody says. The times of the computer geek coding behind their computer in the corner of a room and not speaking to anyone, those days are gone. You need to be able to tell us why you're coding, the logic behind your coding, and what it's supposed to do. You're going to have to be able to do that. And it's going to be a lot less painful if you know how to speak effectively. So this can be a little bit overwhelming, and I've created a KSA, so KSA Matrix, Knowledge, Skills, and Abilities Matrix, that simply allows you to take stock of your professional skills and accomplishments. And in this practice, you're going to lay out all your experience and projects so that you can home in on the qualities that you want to highlight. And this is a great practice for when you're job hunting, because you're getting at the forefront of your mind all the good things that you know how to do, all the things that you are really special at. And it's a great ego boost. I like to do this myself sometimes, especially after I've gotten a new role. So I highly encourage you to do this, even if you're not at the job market, just to like remind yourself of what a great employee you are. And I think it's like just a great practice. So you can find this table and this matrix on today's Medium article, and I'll share this link as well on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Some things to keep in mind as you're doing this, don't get tripped up on what you're missing. I want you to acknowledge the gaps, but not dwell on them, because we're going to create a plan to tackle them. What I want you to do is identify and embrace all the things that you're good at. This matrix should tell a story about your professional experience. And if you don't get excited about it, how can an employer do that? If you're not interested in yourself, why should I be? So like any good story, the author shows rather than tells, and you'll need to dig up concrete evidence of your accomplishments. So don't tell me that you're a good public speaker. I want to know how you're a good public speaker and when you prove that. So give me an example of where you showcase these skills, such as leading a conference or webinar, or giving a keynote speech, or leading a stakeholder presentation. So when you're framing your accomplishments, think about the cause and effect. And let's continue with that public speaking example. And this is just completely made up, so just bear with me. So instead of just saying, good public speaking skills on your resume, right? You would put gave an engaging keynote speech. And this is just a start. So gave an engaging keynote speech to encourage donors to increase sponsorship by 50% or some monetary value or some measure or something like that. Here you've listed what you did and how it impacted your audience. And as an employer, this shows me you know how to communicate effectively. You understand how your role and what you do, how it ties in to the bigger picture of things and how it benefits, your team or the organization. And later we're going to talk about how to find and use powerful descriptive words to enhance your accomplishments, because we can certainly dress up that statement a lot more. But you will be surprised at how much you have accomplished over the course of your career. And don't be discouraged when you can't list everything in one shot. Setting intentions takes time, and it takes focus. So you're most likely going to go over this list many times and tweak it as you remember things or even accomplish new things in your new job. This is a brain dump exercise, and it'll by no means be polished or perfect. It's, a work in progress. This is for you to set your direction, and one of two things is going to happen. Either one, you're going to realize that you're much more qualified for what you want to do, and maybe, you shouldn't be looking for a team member role. You should be looking for a management role or even an executive role, and you'll have to do a lot less in internal work, like figuring out what other skills you need, or you'll identify gaps in your skills and tune in for the next episode on how to effectively close those gaps in a way that works for you. And what that means is, not everybody's journey is the same. Where I learn more effectively on YouTube and I'm more intrinsically motivated, someone else might need, a better paced course where there's a little bit more responsibility on the due dates and things like that. And it's a little bit more structure. Some people just work better like that. And so we are going to figure that out. But the goal here, ultimately, is to minimize applying to jobs and therefore shortening your time on the job market, because you're applying to jobs that closely align with your skills. You're not blind applying and shooting your application into the void here. You know what you're about, and you're going to show employers that by showcasing your stellar abilities. And the way we start with that is knowing what those abilities are. So I'm really excited for you guys to try this, and I'm really excited to hear feedback on this process. And I want to just be super clear. The KSA Matrix is something that I've just done for myself, but in its most basic form, it is a way for you to quickly lay out and get all the things that you're good at in front of you. It's a table, and you can do this in a variety of ways, in a way that you feel comfortable. But I found that it's the quickest way to get excited about the things that I do and what I want to do. And it's good for quick access. You can pull this out on a job interview. You can send this to recruiters. It is also super helpful when crafting a cover letter, because you can just cherry pick all the things that are relevant for the job that you're applying to. So it just makes things a lot quicker. I am not someone who likes to spend a lot of time on things, because I'm really big on, heads down, deep focus. But the best part about this is that if you're not a linear thinker, and you're not someone who thinks in a specific order, and you're kind of a little bit more jumbled, or you are more of a free thinker, you don't have to change yourself to do this exercise. This does the organization for you. So when it comes to applying to jobs and it comes to communicating your value, you can do this in a quick and easy way. So I really hope that you like this. I'm uploading a quick tutorial / my thoughts on this on the Medium blog, as I usually do, but you'll be able to find this on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And I really hope to hear from you guys. And this was pretty quick. I expected this to go so much longer, but as I do this more, I'll probably think about more to talk about, but I'm really excited, and I do have a guest coming on soon, hopefully next week. But if, they don't show up or if we can't do it in time, we'll start on that next step, which is identifying how to close those gaps and looking at different resources and figuring out, what type of learner am I? And a note to people who are applying to jobs that maybe have like a less than stellar resume, but they're really good at what they do and they show value and they are an asset to teams. There have been instances where a much more qualified candidate will apply against a less qualified candidate, but the person that can communicate their value the best, the person that knows how to talk about themselves and is comfortable talking about themselves, is the person who 9 out of 10 times is going to get the job. So that's what we're working towards here. Learning how to talk about yourself and liking to talk about yourself is certainly a skill. And if that's one thing that you get from this podcast, then I think you've gotten a lot. So I'll talk to you guys next week.